Good, great.
All good.
Okay, great. So we'll get right into it. And as you all know, there's a question period afterwards. So if anything in addition to what you've already submitted as questions comes to you, please make sure to write that down or toss it in the chat. I'd be happy to answer everything. And if I can't get around to everything today, I will definitely be open to answering any questions through the Vision to Reality platform. You can always reach out to me individually or on any of my other channels as well. So low or no spend strategic approach, basically supporting revenue generation through optimized foundational sales and marketing strategies. If there's any words that I use through this or terms that I use through this that you're not personally familiar with, please make sure to make a note. And Yadi, please feel free to interrupt me so that I can clarify for anyone. I want to make sure that it makes sense as we're going through. So I know that a lot of you are, you're in business, you're starting a business, you're thinking about starting a business, you're all at different points in your business journey. And I want to make sure that we can apply something from today to you and your own business. First of all, as I mentioned, thanks for joining me. My name is Remy Soubry, and I was just telling the team a little bit earlier, I've been through a lot of fun, different lives in my one lifetime. I've done everything from, teaching as an instructor in Taekwondo to, oh, Carlos is joining us. Okay. Teaching as an instructor in Taekwondo, to working at a restaurant, to running that restaurant, to working in retail. I've worked for a health and supplement company. I've worked for a cosmetics company. And the company that I work with full-time right now, along with doing my other businesses, is a company that I have the opportunity to work with a bunch of different industries, everything from food into mechanical machining, into hand sanitizer development, and all the way through to Saskatoon berry processing. So I've seen a lot of it, and ultimately that brought me to the position of wanting to create a business that I could personally help businesses, but more so business professionals, discover opportunity for scalable growth within their companies, and then help hold them accountable to making positive changes. Personally, have worked with a lot of third-party service providers that they do things for you, and then they go away, or you don't see the return on investment, and you can't no longer do those things yourself. And I didn't think that that was very right. I thought the approach would be better to leave someone better off than you found them, and empower them and encourage them to be doing that work themselves. So that's really my approach. And my slogan is goals make you and systems take you. So the reason that you'll be doing something is to reach your goals, but to get there, you need proper systems, proper processes in place. And that all starts with strategic consideration. And I'm a huge advocate for optimized processes and systems. And the low to no spend strategy is built around just that. So now we're going to get into the low and no spend. What does low and no spend mean? What does that even mean? And ultimately, it's a strategy that optimizes organic or non-paid initiatives, processes, or opportunities. In essence, it refers to the optimization of foundational processes, as I mentioned, and initiatives as step one in your sales and marketing journey. Not that you should never look at paid as an option, but it ensures that your foundation is solid before you start throwing money at it, and that you've maximized on the capacity. So if you throw fuel to the fire, it's actually going to take off instead of throwing fuel in and it just drowns it out. So at the bottom there in gray, money will only emphasize any gaps or issues. It will not make up for them. And that's something that I think a lot of business owners forget at the end of the day is, okay, we're doing really great, but we want to see a better process here. We want to see this campaign do a little bit better. We're just going to throw money at it without thinking about how foundationally is this whole system going to work together. Where to start? So how do I get started on even, implementing a low to no spend strategy? It starts from where you're at. I never come across a client where I encourage them to, okay, now we need to get this new platform, or we need to get this new tool. You need to hire this person. We need to get you on this platform, or so on and so forth. It's really about squeezing the sponge and then moving on to something else. So exploring the possibility that you might not be doing the most with what you currently have. I like to do a bit of a systems analysis with my teams or with my clients and really break down, okay, you have access to this right now. You're paying this much a month for this, or you're putting this much of your marketing budget towards ad spend. What is actually working within there and what's not, what's efficient, what's not. And the biggest example that I use when I'm talking to my clients is trade event exposure. And that's why I made a note here. I'm going to give you guys a case example. So I came across one of my clients that was looking at participating in a trade show in Hawaii. And they are a marketing company that specifically targets and supports Aboriginal and Indigenous teams and companies. So they were going to this beautiful event in Hawaii. They were so excited. They spent $10,000 redesigning their booth, and they were sending 5 members of their team out there. And it was coming up in a month and a half. And I was having this conversation with them in a mentorship capacity, and they said, yeah, we're super excited. And I said, that's great. And how much have you spent on it? And the total with everything included was about $20,000. And they're a medium to large size business. And that's not like small apples for a business to be spending $20,000 on one particular event. They had no strategies or initiatives in place to ensure that they were getting money out of that event. They had nothing in place to see or to be able to measure if they were getting money back from that event. At that point, it was purely a brand awareness campaign. We're going to go here, we're going to set it up, and we're going to hope that people buy from us. So what we did was we talked about what are some ways that we can ensure that you are bringing money back to the company from this event. And number one would be spending the time to acquire a lead list of participants or attendees of that show, calling them ahead of time, introducing your company, introducing yourself, and asking if they're interested in meeting at the event, during, before, after, what have you, and getting your foot in the door. They ended up actually locking in over $150,000 of business from that show. So their ROI was positive. And that's what I mean, is looking at what are some little extra steps that you can do to really soak the sponge out of every opportunity without putting more money in, because it didn't cost them anything to call. It just took their time, right? So when you're looking at low and no spend, what are some considerations that you can start with, whether you're at the start of your business journey or farther along and you have a really developed team, you have processes, and you're kind of just chilling and slowly growing time over time. And I put together a slide of just some questions just to start asking yourself. Have you optimized buyer paths on your website? If you don't know what buyer paths are, we can talk about those later. Have you been consistent with content development or lead generation commitments? What platforms can I use that only require time, not money? And this is where those free versions come into play, and obviously there are limitations to that. Are my backend processes effective? So backend would be once a lead or a prospect is into my sales channel, they've either converted or they're in a nurture campaign. Am I effective at getting them to close or to convert or to be a customer, right? Do I have proactive upsell and cross-sell and referral processes in place? This is a huge one that we'll talk about later. And am I using them? Do we really need the premium subscription of this platform? More often than not, the answer is no. So just think about that. Is our marketing driven from brand awareness or sales support? Another thing we'll talk about a little bit later. And can we even measure the ROI for this initiative? ROI standing for return on investment, for those of you that aren't familiar. So for the question answer period, if anything is coming to mind here, I'd love for you to each identify, can you identify some examples from your personal business where you think low or no spend evaluation is needed? If you're not comfortable talking about it with the group, we can definitely take it offline as mentioned. So talking about marketing, Clash of the Titans. This is one of the most impassioned conversations that I have with my clients. I get really worked up about this. I'll try and keep it a little low key today. But brand awareness versus sales support. It is a tale as old as time. There are two veins in marketing, and I simplify that by categorizing them into two pockets, and that is brand awareness and sales support. Now, how do we differentiate those? So brand awareness, to me and to my clients, once I speak with them, is hoping. initiatives where you're hoping that they see it and you're hoping that they act on it. And more often than not, it's completely immeasurable. So you have no idea what money you're getting back from the money that you put into those initiatives. Whereas sales support is 100% in support of sales. It's aiming for revenue generation, and it's ensuring that you're putting your client or your prospect on a path to closing. So that's where controlling how they see it and controlling how they react to it comes in. And almost completely measurable are those efforts towards sales support. I did put an asterisk there, and if you can see in the bottom right corner, it notes if you're tracking properly. Another massive hint that I like to give my clients, if they've come into probably about the 1 to 2 year mark and they're relying on their website a lot for leading people to it for more information from social or digital work, if you don't have your trackers in place and you don't know how to use Google Suite or Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, that's something that you really need to look into, and that's something that will optimize your ability to track, report, measure, and then make better decisions off of that. So this is where sales comes in, and I apologize that this presentation today is really condensed so I can expand on any of these items later on, but this is the sales kind of integration into the low to no spend. Your approach to revenue generation is extremely important when it comes to low to no spend strategy, and that's in 3 prongs: passive, active, and proactive. And you can have any of these ratings. What's more so, you can have any of these ratings in different pieces of your business, different sectors. So passive is you're really letting sales come to you. You work on what comes to you, but you don't engage in funnel filling or capacity maximizing opportunities. You're kind of just putting it out there, or even better, you're not putting it out there, and you're just waiting for people to find you. You're waiting for word of mouth, you're waiting for a referral, and there are a ton of businesses that work off of this. I actually had a client last year that is a $2.5 million business. They've been in business for about 5 to 6 years, and they have never done a lead generation activity ever. They are purely based on referral. That being said, that is a really, really unstable foundation to build your business off of. You don't want to be in that spot, because if those referrals ever stop, or someone else comes into the market and takes away your traffic, steals those customers that you have, you are, well, you don't have very much luck in that case. I was going to use a bad word, and I will reserve that for later. The active category is you go out and you find it. You find those leads, you find those sales, but you stop once you have enough work on your plate for the time being. You engage in funnel filling activities, but things halt at the close or conversion point. And this is it's a good place to be, but it's not where you want to be. Where you want to be in every, channel that you're approaching is proactive. You want to be going out there and finding it. You want to have processes in place that generate it for you, so you don't actually have to be finding it. Those active channels are bringing it in for you. And you maximize potential on all existing opportunity. And that's the main difference between proactive and the other two, is that you not only bring in really high value clients, but then you get the most possible value out of those clients that you've brought in over and over and over and over. You're considering lifetime value of that customer, and you're not just seeing them as that initial closer conversion. And it's really important to start looking at your sales cycle as not just from a lead into a sale or a conversion, but beyond that. The customer support, the customer success piece, because that will lead to more sales and new customers, because those customers are going to be so happy that they're going to talk about you. And those customers are going to be so happy that when you ask them for a referral, they're going to give you many referrals. They're going to give you a testimonial. They're going to bring you more business. And that's really where we want to be, is in that proactive category. So this is an extension of proactive, going above and beyond. And it's not about going above and beyond for a customer or a client. I know that each of you value your business and you value your clients, and you're going to do what you can to really ensure their success and they feel supported. But it's about extending your perception of the sales beyond the close, what I just referenced earlier. So it's about customer lifetime value, and that should be one of your hot button words that you talk about consistently when it comes to processes, when it comes to goals for sales or marketing initiatives. What's going to help us extend that customer lifetime value? Not only marketing for new clients, but how are we continuing marketing and nurturing for existing clients? That is a low to no spend strategy, because you don't have to pay anything to get those clients. You already have them. So what can we do? Is it email marketing? Is it, posts on our website? Are we doing engaging events? Are we inviting them into our Zoom room so that we can chat about something new that's coming up, a new service, a new product, etc.? When you're putting together a sales strategy, if you're not considering these following items, you're going to fall short of that proactive rating. So things like automation, customer support, lifetime nurture, so those up and cross-sell opportunities, network optimization, so that's referral and testimonials like I talked about, and then feedback from clients and from your team. And it's tricky when it's just you, or maybe you and one other person, but you need to be blatantly honest with yourself on, is this process working for us? It might be bringing in a ton of clients, but it's really, really sucking the life out of me. I have no more time in the day to do anything else. Or I don't like the clients that it's bringing in. How do we change that? Because we want to duplicate the clients that we do want, we enjoy working with, and we want more of, instead of those that, yeah, they're bringing in money, so I'm not going to complain, but they're really hard to deal with, and there's a lot of ongoing issues with them. The opportunity of low and no spend strategy is longevity and health of your internal processes and systems. And you can save a little money in the front end. This isn't just for, again, startups or somebody who's conceptualizing a business plan. This is also a strategy to put in place for somebody that's been in business for years. Go take a look at your foundations and your processes. Do they need a lift? Can they be optimized? Are they less effective than they could be? Utilizing either your team and your resources or your products that you have, like platforms. The only cost to this strategy is your time, really, at the end of it. So set up, test, and automate. This concept is most commonly applied to marketing, the set up, test, automate. So think about ad strategy, but should instead be considered when approaching marketing in collaboration with sales. So the hot notes for this is set up your CRM to guide your sales process as you intended with your client path outline. Take the time to test and get feedback from your team, as I mentioned. Review analytics on sharp edges or delays where they exist in your process for sales, because revenue is where we're aiming, right? And then automate both next steps, follow-ups, and internal reminders, and inclusion of applicable sales support. So any assets that you need to send your client along the sales journey, if you can automatically include those in some type of reminder email to them or a follow-up email, that'll save you time. So it's about using your time instead of money, but then how do we use less of our time, and how do we use our time more effectively? How do we make the programs and platforms work for us? So stop thinking about what you're doing in sales versus marketing and start looking at pass-off and integrated support points through the entire client engagement process. We're just getting to the end here. So you want to spend. I get it. I have so many clients that are like, yeah, but Remy, I have $10,000 this year budgeted towards ads. I want to spend it. What do I have to do to spend it? Don't tell me that I can't spend it. That's fine. You throw your money anywhere you want. That's your money, right? When to bring out the wallet, I'm going to leave you with these considerations for when is the best time to bring out your wallet. When you know you can measure effectiveness and or ROI, return on investment, like we talked about. If you're going to be able to not measure it, or it's going to be hard to measure, I would avoid it and look at other options. When you know it will make a difference, and then where in the sales funnel it will make a difference. When you have accurate expectations, you are not going to go viral overnight, and if you do, bravo to you, but you're not. You are not going to get $150,000 in revenue from one tiny ad that you're spending $10 a day on. It's going to take time to amass that amount. When you have the resources to manage it effectively. If you're by yourself and you're already stressed, you're wearing every single hat, if you can't focus on strategies that are in place and being able to go through them properly, and especially when it comes to ads, I'm going to use that example, if you can't monitor those, I would avoid it and potentially look at hiring out. But that being said, if you are hiring out, you're educated enough to direct that team, whether it be someone you hire internally or hiring out to third party. You're educated and you know what you're looking for. You're not just saying, here's my money, do something with it, because you need to know how your money's being spent. And of course, last but not least, you can spend when you're comfortable losing that money. Because in marketing and in sales, it's never a guaranteed return. Okay, and I think I went a couple seconds over here on the time allowance. I apologize, team. If you, as I mentioned, if we can't answer your question today in the Q&A, please feel free to connect with me. And regardless, would love to connect with you guys. LinkedIn, but Vision to Reality platform is where I'll be spending most of my time. And you can also find me on Instagram through my business channel. Thank you so much.